Welcome to the Dreamit Dose. I'm Adam Dakin, partner, Dreamit Healthtech. For health tech startups, understanding the regulatory pathway and requirements for your device or platform are essential. Investors will drill down here, and any hand-waving is an expressway to the no bucket. Yet, we consistently see founders faceplant here in 5 specific ways. Let's get started.
Dreamit Ventures has been investing in great early-stage startups for over a decade. The Dreamit Dose allows us to share best practices to help even more founders. Tell us about your great startup using the links below.
Building out a cohesive regulatory strategy requires a highly complex and nuanced analysis. This can be even tougher for digital health startups because the regulatory requirements may be a bit murky and are evolving in real time. Further, startup teams often lack deep regulatory affairs experience, and engaging expert regulatory consultants is a significant expense. Of note, the FDA, to their credit, has made a major effort to provide guidance to startups regarding regulatory pathways and corresponding requirements for software. The FDA.gov website has guidance documents providing clarity regarding what is referred to as software as a medical device, or SAMD, defined as, quote, software intended to be used for one or more medical purposes that perform these purposes without being part of a hardware medical device. All right, let's address 5 common startup mistakes when it comes to regulatory affairs. Mistake number 1, clearance or approval. Maybe I'm being a bit nitpicky here, and maybe this is a minor infraction, but words matter. The misuse of the term FDA approval has become almost ubiquitous, but there is a legal distinction between FDA approval, FDA granting, and FDA clearance. And when you use these terms incorrectly, you reveal a lack of regulatory expertise. Only products or platforms that secure a pre-market approval, or PMA, are legally allowed to be marketed as FDA approved. Platforms that go through the less rigorous process of a 510K or de novo are considered FDA cleared or granted respectively, not approved. FDA exempt or registered only products may not be marketed as FDA anything. There's a link below to an excellent blog on this topic. Most products go through the 510K process, so most of the time we're referring to an FDA clearance, not an approval. Mistake number 2, the knee jerk. When asked about regulatory requirements, many founders knee-jerk to, we don't need FDA clearance, nothing to see here. Hold up, slow down. Maybe this is technically a true statement, maybe not. But this is precisely where startups risk being clever at the expense of being smart. The knee-jerk is caused, at least in part, by the mistaken assumption that many investors are unwilling to assume regulatory risk. So better just to tell them it isn't needed, right? Maybe for less sophisticated non-health tech investors, this actually works. I'm not sure. But experienced health tech investors will aggressively pressure test regulatory assumptions. Many founders then become defensive or resort to the classic consultant defense. We use a top FDA consultant who confirmed no clearance is needed. But when the founder lacks a detailed understanding of the analysis and the thought process behind this conclusion, they lose credibility. As a quick aside, a Q-sub or pre-submission meeting with FDA may be a great way to get additional clarity or confirmation. Mistake number 3, the Cavalier Attitude. Founders often compound the knee-jerk mistake by delivering it with a healthy dose of Cavalier Attitude. While this applies to any investor interaction, it is often revealed during the regulatory discussion. Founders who have not lived through an FDA submission often minimize the corresponding risks. They say stuff like, yeah, we need an FDA clearance, but it's actually totally straightforward. Presenting any FDA process as a slam dunk is a tell regarding a lack of experience. Note, you are dealing with an individual reviewer, not the monolithic FDA. There are countless stories of reviewers who interpret requirements in a way that's far more burdensome or costly than expected. An unreasonable reviewer delayed the product launch by 12 months in one of my startups for reasons that made absolutely no sense. Mistake number 4, no regulatory strategy. Does your startup have a cohesive regulatory strategy supported by a detailed plan and budget? Or are you treating your regulatory clearance like a task on your to-do list? This is the exact same flawed approach we covered in my last dose regarding EHR integration. Articulating a credible and defensible regulatory strategy that aligns with your business objectives is a must. While the right approach is always situational, the scope transcends a single clearance or approval. Mistake number 5, go-to-market misalignment. This may well be the most common and deadly mistake. Regulatory submissions are all about indications for use and labeling claims. In other words, what can your marketing state regarding the performance or benefits of the device or platform? For devices, the need for a submission is usually clear from the regulations and predicates. Software that makes no medical claims may be marketable without a clearance, but here's the rub. If you can't make meaningful medical device or performance claims when marketing, can you convince customers to buy? Also, if you need to secure reimbursement, will the data generated during the pre-commercial phase be convincing enough to get payers on board? Your plan must align with your go-to-market strategy. Will your early customers, including payers, require or expect an FDA clearance? If yes, what claims or data will they require? Bottom line, an FDA clearance alone is of little value if you still can't get commitments from customers or payers. So, avoiding an FDA clearance just to accelerate market entry and reduce capital expenditures may actually be an off-ramp to slower adoption and a higher burn. All right, here's a quick recap. 1, know the difference between FDA clearance and approval and use these terms correctly. 2, do not minimize the risks associated with getting through any regulatory process and never demonstrate overconfidence or an even mildly dismissive attitude. 3, do not view regulatory clearances as task list items instead of developing a cohesive long-term strategy. And 4, be sure that your regulatory plan includes the data and secures the claims that early customers will require before purchasing. Quick shout out of thanks to Allison Komiyama, a terrific regulatory consultant at RQM+, who provided invaluable input on this dose. That's your Dreamit Dose. Now you can avoid some very common regulatory minefields. Please leave your questions in the comments section, and if you found this video helpful, like this video and subscribe to the channel. To see all of our doses, go to dreamit.com/dose. And if you're the founder of a great health tech startup, visit dreamit.com/apply. Investors will drill down. When asked about regulatory requirements, why can't I say requirements? Is that what
You said it right when I wasn't recording.
requirements. Founders who had not lived through an FDA submission often minimize. Where did that come from?